So this big final is about to start and everyone's super excited because there are some amazing athletes here and someone broke a record with 506. But we might not see anything that high today, but they might get close to the 5 meter mark. So here we are looking at all the athletes lined up for this new run. There's the Canadian record holder McCarthy, who cost $30 million, and Rickson, who came third in the European Championships, and Morris, who came second at some place and second in the World Championships. And there's Farley, who's the Olympic champion, and she goes to a really cool place in the run-up for Canada. And then all the rest of them, including the world champions silver winner, who will be in the last place on the run-up number 12. And there's the normal big announcement. Before a final starts, let's meet all these athletes who are finally part of this story. And there's someone near Belize who holds the heat record, and she's the best at 472 hours. And there's Alicia McCarthy from New Zealand, who did 482 this year, and some third place person who's a teacher. This person came second in Olympics and second in World Championships, and she's the American Olympic champion. This should be 267, and someone came second in championships but made it here, which is really convenient for one of the neutral athletes named Olga. And now this is it. The girls will love this. And there's Bradshaw, who came 5th and 6th in Olympic finals, and maybe she can do better here today. And it's like a fun journey. And there's someone who came 4th in World Indoor Championships, and someone from Venezuela who's the South American champion, and finally the current world champion, Silva from Cuba, and all 12 of the pole. Vaulters will be getting ready now in the final stages, and they've been out there for a long time, just getting ready, and it's been a really long time actually, and it's not very warm here in the stadium, so lots of them are keeping their track suits on until the very last moment before they take them off and get ready. And the wind isn't a big problem for pole vaulters usually, but sometimes if it's blowing sideways, it can pull them away from the bar or push them into the bar, which can be a major problem. So Paul Vox is now running in first on the runway, and Newman from Canada is doing her first vault here. And the starting height is 430, which should be pretty comfortable for these vaulters, and hopefully I didn't just jinx Alicia Newman, but it's probably easier for these athletes to get used to the conditions on their first try. And the wind is just changing slightly down there at the track here at that starting height of 430. It looks like maybe there's a little problem at the top, and the crowd noise really bothers the vaulter. She's a European bronze medalist from 2015 and was in some wars in 2060. She's probably done all those practice jumps and came second in some competitions leading up to this, and her form has been pretty good. Still waiting, I think, for the wind to calm down a little bit, and they just took the cone away from the runway, and this stadium tonight doesn't have a single empty seat, and it's been an amazing turnout by the fans for these championships, and I think the athletes have really loved it. And I'm not sure why she's taking so long here, but she's not happy with something, and she's looking out at the field. So she's either waiting for the timer to be set so she can start, because usually athletes look to their left when they're waiting for their coach to tell them to go, because there are wind monitors there. She made it over by a lot, really, but sometimes the camera gives us a view from above, and I think she cleared it by a lot, and she's happy, and I don't think she's disappointed, but she just touched it. I think on the way back down from the highest point of her jump, and look at that, she just barely touched it. Coming down, and that's really close, and she can adjust the uprights if she wants to move them closer, if that's the problem. Or it might just be that she wasn't quite ready. Her coach made a comment about the new Canadian athlete who came second in Canadian championships, and some of the athletes are skipping these earlier heights, so we're jumping from one to another, and some of them think it's not a bad idea to get an early jump at the lower height, just to get used to the conditions and atmosphere in the stadium. And she's just talking to herself, going through what she needs to do, Stephanie. Dee isn't supposed to start this final until 465, and Holly Bradshaw starts at 455. But some of these athletes want to get a feel for the runway and get a score on the board, because sometimes athletes who come in really late have a major disaster. So it's not a bad idea to get an early vault in just to see how it goes. And these girls have qualified for this event by jumping close to this height to start with, so there shouldn't be any real problems for most of these athletes, and she still cleared it easily, which is maybe a bit surprising. But it's still early, and here's Bernardo from Venezuela, who's the South American champion, and her coach is doing what they always do now and checking the wind to make sure there are no problems. But there isn't much wind at this stadium now that they put the roof on it, which stops most of the wind. And the team is still looking around, and there we go, the first attempt, and so far none of the athletes have failed at this height. And oh, that's a big vault, that's good and inspiring, big run up and a really good vault indeed. And now the women have moved up to the new height of 445, and this is Alicia Newman again from Canada on her second attempt after clearing 430. And wow, she went a little sideways, and her speed dropped off a little in the run-up, but still a good clearance. And it's early days, as we say, and it's kind of a strange event because, like high jump, the athletes go higher and higher, and you don't really see their best until the end. But in long jump or triple jump, they can get a big jump early, and the competition is over. But pole vault goes on and on and on until finally we have a winner, and here's McCarthy from New Zealand at 430 again. Just getting her rhythm going for 445. And oh, that's a good clearance. That really worked well. And her coach is watching, and she came third at Olympics. So I'm not surprised her form is coming back here at World Championships. And look at that amazing technique, and look how much clearance she got over that bar. Oh, another good clearance at that second height of 445. And that should stop her worrying about 430, and now she's getting into her rhythm. And here's Sandy Morris, the American, coming in at this height, and she came second at World Championships. And well, that's why things are really getting exciting now, as the height starts going up, and she's smiling after her attempt at 445, and she's one of the neutral athletes because the Russians are allowed to compete in these world championships. And that's the first clearance at that height of 445. And here's someone from Switzerland who did well at World Indoors. And yeah, this is building into quite a competition now, because most of these women are clearing pretty easily, and I didn't think there would be problems with the wind down there. And there was a little hesitation early on, I think, but from now on, I think they've got it figured out. And another American athlete coming here again at this height, and there we go, another one over. And most of these athletes have personal best way above this height of 445, so very few of them are really in any danger at the moment anyway. And here's Silva coming in now from Cuba, who's world champion again, and she's taking her time, and this is easy for her, so she cleared it with about 30 centimeters to spare, really, and very powerful with great technique. And Newman, on her first attempt at 445, well, I think she actually cleared 450 or maybe even 455. So that's even better for the Canadian, and she looks very happy, and her personal best is 471. So again, lots of these women aren't really close to their personal best in pole vault at the moment. Sandy Morris now attempting 455, and she's an Olympic silver medalist, and oh yeah, there she goes, and she only lost gold by about a centimeter to Stephanie D. So maybe this is going to be a big rivalry here later on as they get closer to their better heights. And here's someone coming in at this height of 455, again, another clearance, and she's a Russian national, as I said before, and she's an authorized neutral athlete taking part. And that's why they have blue uniforms instead of national ones, so they can compete here in these championships. And there we go, Holly Bradshaw, who came fifth and sixth at the last two Olympics, and she went slightly to the side there, but still cleared it, and she probably wants to fix that. And doesn't look happy, but she still cleared the height, even though she went over to the right of the pit, and it's done, so she can think about the next one. And here's someone from Germany who did 475 this year already, and that's good clearance, so far so good for everybody. And here's someone from Germany, and here's Dorota, who qualified easily for this final, so this is the same height she qualified at, so this shouldn't be a problem, although she messed up on the run-up there. Well, she's thinking maybe it was because of the wind, but we'll have to wait and see. And here's Bernardo now attempting 455, and she's South American champion, and her coach is telling her something about the wind, and oh, good clearance, and that's her season best at 465, so she's getting close to that now, and next time will be her personal best. So that's a good jump for her. And here's Silva coming in now, who's the current world champion, and she started her run but came back, and oh wow, that was close, but good enough, and she just touched the bar but went over, and she's thinking about that, but there it is, and that's another very good clearance, and you can see why this woman won bronze. And she was just in her first year as a senior.